You know, David and I spoke in the green room for just a few seconds. So be prepared. This is going to be a wild ride on Friday. And I always like doing this to David, especially on Fridays, because I know he needs to relax by the weekend. Welcome to the Rant Network, your go-to podcast for unfiltered, unapologetic discussions. Clearly because David has to make excuses for me. Hosted by myself, Stuart Brisgell, and my co-host, David Solomon. We tackle a diverse range of topics with candid conversations, bold opinions, whether it's breaking down the latest headlines, exploring pop culture, debating politics, or delving into the complexities of modern life. We offer a platform for every perspective. So grab a seat, settle in, and join us on this journey through a thought-provoking rant and meaningful discussion. Listen carefully. I don't want anyone to think for a second that the justice being served with the alleged murderer of the United Health CEO is a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. And I think AOC getting out there saying this is what happens when you deny claims as a call for universal health care and and brings it up. I don't recommend violence, but now you understand why people are violent. And this is the reason why, basically a call to action for further violence. But that's not what this rant's about or where I want to go with it today. I want to drop David in the twilight zone. There are 24,000 homicides in the United States of America. Why does this white, rich CEO get the entire resources of the New York City's finest and the FBI and not the 24,000 other people? Why? It doesn't make any sense. If we have the technology and skill and ability to mobilize a country for a manhunt, why is this manhunt more important than any other manhunt? It's because he's a white guy who's a CEO of a Fortune 100 company called United Healthcare? Or is there something else to this? Now, David, I'm not letting you off so easy either. I'm going to continue on and put you in a rabbit hole. We all saw what happened with the George Floyds. These aren't pleasant experiences that society has to endure. Not the families of the loved ones that end up in the odd position and unfortunate ending, but is the insanity ensuing as a result of it equally as important? So, David, I hope you caught these two concepts that I threw right at you. It's two fastballs because I'm going to drop the mic on you now.
No, you're not going to drop it. Here's where I'm really miffed. And I think, Stuart, what you have just done is give the entire platform to all those who are angry at society, government, police, you name it. I'm going to go through the whole myriad of the basket. And Stuart, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's a question of choosing your battle. The unfortunate thing is that the police take according to what I've understood. Now, I'm going to mess with you right now because here's something that I have been dealing with, as I've talked about numerous times on this Rant Network. Okay. And that is the fact that I've been dealing with anti-Semitism, Stuart. I've been physically assaulted, verbally assaulted, and I've had police standing there. Okay, Stuart, I was physically assaulted by and police were standing there, and nothing really happened. Nothing. And if you recall, and I don't know if you saw this actually, we ranted about this, that a rabbi stood on the street watching protesters in downtown Montreal. He took out his phone. He said nothing more than film them. And the police told him to get away because he's going to incite violence. You want to know why people are angry at the police? It's not the police. The police take the marching orders from their bosses, the chief of police, the mayor. And if you look at what happened in New York City, that a CEO gets shot, who do you think is going to freak out more than the mayor of New York? Or for that matter, go even higher, as you said, because the FBI was involved. Simply put, Stuart, it's really easy. Uppity ups are freaking out because top drawer guys are getting killed. Now, we don't want that in our society. And so when you have that, when you have an attempted assassination on a president, which we've talked about, when you have all this violence, you can only control so much. And the profile of this is off the chart. So it gets the attention of the police. Stuart, one thing you did not mention in your preamble is how come how come the police and the FBI and all these resources? The question you could have also added on that was, why was the media so enthralled with this murder and not any of the other 24,000? Because you want to know what, Stuart? It doesn't resonate. I'm sorry to say, whether you're black or white or Asian or Jewish or whatever you are, if there's nothing interesting behind you, you're just another statistic. The media doesn't care. Society doesn't care. The police will look into it. The mayor doesn't care. The governor doesn't care. The FBI doesn't care. But when it becomes high profile, now we care. And you know, when you brought up George Floyd, that's exactly what happened. Did he get the right justice? I'm not getting into that. But notice how high profile it became. And therefore, now the police had to get involved. And the mayor had to get involved. It's a PR stunt, Stuart. It isn't more than, if we're looking for real justice, then every murderer would have been already in jail. But that doesn't happen because it doesn't have the same resonance. It doesn't have the same impact on society. Please note that everybody wants to blame the police. But the reality is, it's society's craving for what's exciting. Okay, the murder of this CEO is a rim rocker. Yes, this is one of the top, companies in the United States. Yeah, healthcare companies in the United States. Yes, this CEO runs a multi-billion-dollar corporation. No, allegedly, the murderer didn't even have a policy with this company, and he went out and allegedly shot him. Although we have the video to say so, allegedly is a funny word. And all of a sudden, because of the high profile nature of this individual, the world turns upside down to go catch him. But in the meantime, you see people like, others that don't get it. But, go back a little bit in time to JonBenet Ramsey. Remember her? She was she was kidnapped and murdered. And because she was a little cute girl and she was she was part of those pageantries and whatever, the society went upside down and all the resources were thrown in or whatever. Really? For that? No offense to the family, but why is your child more important than anybody else's? So there's no wonder the AOCs take political advantage of this. And there's no wonder that society is in outrage because how come African Americans can't get equal building? And how come? And that's what it is. So pointing the fingers at the police is a convenient move. But we need to point the fingers at ourselves in society and say, why are we not treating these murderers the same way? Why does this CEO get more notoriety? That's our fault. And I'm sorry, I'm sickened by that.
Yeah, and again, I sort of took a step back when I saw this all come down. And I think that the political weight that went to the police department is why this became national news. I also think the news networks are complicit on this. Their CEOs should be very nervous as well. They do things in a manner that are not exactly on the up and up. Like you said, they tried shooting Donald Trump not once, but twice. They shot Reagan. They shot Kennedy. They've shot a bunch of people. But it wasn't so politically motivated as it is today. And the AOCs are absolutely guilty as charged and should be, because they're the ones inciting the violence. They're screaming fire in the movie theater, yet there's not a political fortitude to tear them from their political post. Remember, Wednesday I talked about the stomp. And these AOCs, these Rashida Tlaibs, these hating people of the American public who only could incite violence, racism, and divisiveness to find their way to step up in society. They are the scum of the earth, giving the Latinos the worst name in history. The Muslim faith gets trashed because of the Rashida Tlaibs and the Omars. They're destroying the fabric of the free American spirit. All walks of life come to this country to literally embrace the American dream. That isn't assimilate, that is to, in part, embrace. We don't want you to forget your roots. We don't want you to forget your values, but your values got to sink in with the American value system, which is what has been forgotten. We don't want to change the American value system. At least most people don't, except the fringe. And they get turned out because we find an issue that one person gets passionate about that may have some mental health issues. And then they're exploited. And when they're exploited, you get these guys like Luigi to go and do heinous acts. I am willing to put a good cup of coffee down that I suspect that he didn't shoot just any guy on the street. He wanted to shoot a top line executive. And that's why he was easier to get. And if the AOCs call for more violence and for more murder, maybe their position should be brought up as contact and be censored out of the political party, because requesting and pushing the base to become more violent isn't good. David?
Stuart, I'm going to tell you something. And I hear what you're saying, but Fringe doesn't sell ads in a newspaper. Fringe doesn't do anything. What we love is radicalism. What we love in society is an excitement. What we love is something that is got oh my god factor. Think about it. How many? If you take just Chicago alone, with over 2,000 murders a year, it doesn't even make it. It's just a byline. It's not even noted. But it's noted when it's suddenly something more, like there's a factor, if you know what I'm saying. There's like a wow factor in this. And this is what people want in society. They don't want, if they were true to themselves and say, we will not accept crime, we would see a diminishment in violence. We would see a diminishment in the shootings, and we would be treated well. But look, the police is extended in many cities to the point where they can't handle the violence. They can't handle the murders. And as a result, they don't get that kind of treatment. And it's unfortunate, okay? And a lot of it has to do with defunding the police, and a lot of it has to do with,
where did the defunding of the police come from?
Stuart, but I know that, but Stuart, but think of the mayor of Chicago right now, who's putting money towards immigrants as opposed to his own people. Then everybody's like, hey, that's not fair. You're what you're doing is you're hurting us. And that is why, when you ask why do resources why are the best resources? Because they can pay for it. And if you think about it, the insurance company that is covering the CEO is probably wondering, and others wondering. And that is what, unfortunately, you and me and others can't get. Because if, God forbid, someone is shot on the street and is just an average Joe or average Jane, we'll try to figure it out. We'll try not to figure. I don't know, because you're a statistic. Okay. And that's the thing, is we don't value anymore life. We don't. Unfortunately, we're really treating life and the violence behind it just like a, whatever. And so when it happens, we're no longer shocked. But when it's a CEO shot in the middle of New York, the way it is, caught on camera, and the story behind it, we're all in awe. And we got to solve the crime because it looks bad on New York. It looks bad on the FBI.
We don't even know the story yet, Dave. So
no, we don't. But just the perception of it is like that.
Well, at some point, there's got to be an end to this insanity. David, any last words before I wrap it up?
All I can tell you is, Stuart, is when society figures out its moral compass, will probably be better. But when you play the politics and when you play the racism game, the racism card, and when you play these extremist politics, you can't be surprised. I'm sorry.
Nope. And that's why the end of a politician's career came so abruptly. On that note, the Tank Man takes another knee. And that brings us to a close for another episode of the Rant Network. We truly appreciate you tuning in and sharing this time with us. Your support and engagement means everything, in which we continue to foster an open and honest discussion with thought-provoking topics. Don't forget, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. Stay connected through social media and all the channels that we push out to. Whichever one suits your fancy and you want to subscribe to, we appreciate that subscription. Stay in your feed. Subscribe, guys. Once again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep the raps passionate, the discussion vibrant, the ideas flowing. Take care. We'll see you real soon. David, you ready to do our year in review next week? Get it ready? Ready to start doing it? I know, but we got to get a